and welcome to In Real Time. My name is Costa Maragos, your host, and it's great to have you with us once again this week as we broadcast on Facebook Live and on Access TV stations right across the province. We're on Facebook each Thursday at 7 o'clock Saskatchewan time and on Access TV stations across Saskatchewan at noon on Fridays. Well, Canadians do love to talk about the weather. I'm sure you're in that camp, just like a lot of your friends and family. But there are those who actually head out into the storms when there's nasty weather on the way. They're, of course, fondly referred to as storm chasers. But you know, it seems to me that the storm chasing business is a mostly male domain. We're going to talk to a woman from West Central Saskatchewan. Her name is Jenny Hagan. She's a storm chaser of a different kind. We'll have that interview for you in just a moment. Lulu's Lodge in Regina is seen as a safe haven for LGBTQ youth in Regina. There's a big demand for those services. And the people who are running Lulu's Lodge are in the middle of a community campaign to not only keep the lodge open, but keep offering its important programs. We're going to have an update on that. And you know, we know there are many fine authors in Saskatchewan, but how many of those authors can boast that their book has been made into a movie? Well, we're going to talk to the author of Anton, which is now a movie. Dale Eisler is seeing his book now shown on Amazon Prime, the streaming service. We'll chat with Dale in just a few moments. This is In Real Time, streaming on Facebook and on Access Saskatchewan. So what do you do when there's a nasty storm on the way? I prefer to take cover, but not Jenny Hagan of Saskatchewan. She actually likes to go into the eye of the storm. She is what we commonly refer to as a storm chaser. She's based in Etonia, Saskatchewan, and Jenny joins us now. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Costa. How are you today?
I'm very well. How about yourself?
Wonderful. The sun is shining. The heat is here. So
it is. It's clear.
Summer weather is finally here.
Well, it certainly is. And it's clear blue skies. I think it's raised the spirits of people. You're able to get outside. But it certainly must be a pretty slow day for storm chasers today, I would think.
Today, but we could see some this week. So this heat has packed into the atmosphere. We got the moisture. So it's making me excited that storm season's finally here.
Well, my fingers are crossed for you, Jan, not for anyone else. But before we get to a little more about your passion for chasing down those storms and interesting weather conditions, let's take a little look here at some of your work.
Winter came roaring in on November 7th in a 2-day record-breaking snowfall event that walloped much of central and southern Saskatchewan. It was predicted that the Swift Current area would be one of the hardest hit. Looking at models, though, leading up to the event, I saw good potential for my own area. And since I knew some of my friends and fellow chasers were already going to be in the southern part, rather than traveling, I decided to stay home and document the event right here near Kindersley. I was not disappointed. This area shattered its previous single-day snowfall record of 21.3 centimeters or 8.3 inches that it set back in 1974.
So that's Jenny Hagan, storm chaser in Saskatchewan. So Jen, tell me, what is it about stormy weather that excites you?
Stormy weather, it's something that is never the same thing when you're out there. So each storm is a totally different experience. You get to see amazing sights across the province, well, across the prairies, because I go Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba for storms. So you get to see a lot of these small communities that a lot of people might not otherwise in their travels and meet amazing people while I'm out on the road.
Well, tell me what happens when you hear about something that would interest you. You're based in Etonia, west sort of central Saskatchewan area.
Yeah.
So what happens? What goes through your mind when you hear about stormy weather?
I find it highly intriguing. So for me, it's an excitement. I know for some people, it's a terrifying experience, but I've always had this passion and love for weather since I was a small child. So.
Mm-hmm. But what do you see in the forecast that gets you off the seat into a vehicle and get to the spot you want to be at?
Well, we pour over models pretty much daily once storm season pops up. So you're looking at things like your temperature, your dew points, your wind shear. So we'll go through all that. And about 3 days out, you can kind of see if there's going to be a good day. So then you're checking models multiple times a day to make sure that the runs match. And you pick your target zone and hope that you've got the right spot. Forecasting weather is a little bit like trying to predict where the first bubble will pop in a boiling pot of water. So you know that the atmosphere is prime in that area, but to figure out exactly where that first bubble is going to pop is another story. So there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes.
What's one of the most hair-raising experience you've had as a storm chaser in Saskatchewan?
In Saskatchewan, I guess since I know the road networks quite well, I haven't had too many crazy where I thought it was kind of dangerous. I know over in Manitoba, for Tilston, Manitoba, we were stopped on the road because power lines were taken down by the tornado. The pavement was stripped completely clean off the road in front of us. And as we're sitting there waiting for power crews to make the road safe and making sure nobody's going to pass that road, we had funnel clouds popping up all around us and behind us. So that was the one time where I was kind of, well, our escape route's gone if one drops behind us.
So what went through your mind at that point when you're surrounded by funnels?
You're looking around your surroundings and trying to figure out where your safe zone's going to be if one does drop. Like I said, the road network was gone ahead of us. So luckily there was a farmyard nearby we could run to if something did come down.
Yeah, how do you figure out what would be a safe zone when you're surrounded by weather calamity?
That is something that you're doing while you're chasing. Not only are you keeping an eye on the sky and what's happening there where the storm is moving, but you're constantly paying attention to where your escape routes are going to be, road networks, what's a good road, and where you may have to take shelter if something really does go bad.
What do you think? There are some who will, well, some I don't know, but I'm just going to ask you this. What is the point of being a storm chaser when potentially you put yourself in danger? There is that issue that comes up with storm chasers. Yes,
and I guess it's kind of to each their own. Like some like jumping off bridges and bungee jumping, some like skydiving. So there's an adventure aspect to it. After you've done it for a long time, it's actually quite easy to stay safe. You know which direction the storm's moving. You know how fast it's moving, where the hail core is, where your danger zone is. So you tend to stay away from that. While you're photographing these storms, you don't want to be right under where the tornado is going to drop because you're not going to get good images out of that either.
Oh, really? So you mean you have to be a little more of a distance to get those dramatic? Because I think you'd have to get those inside.
Big dramatic skies.
Right. Well,
when you're filming the actual tornado, you're up a little bit closer so you can get a good view. Because here in the prairies, tornadoes are often rain wrapped is what we call. So there's a sheet of precipitation in front of the tornado. And that's where people that are out just kind of trying to see the storm can get into danger because they don't realize there's actually a tornado in behind that rain.
Well, I want to ask you about this, Jenny, because when I look at search out on Google storm chasers, Saskatchewan or prairies, it seems, and anywhere, it seems like a male, this is just my observation, a male-dominated world. What would be the reason for that? Because you seem to go against the grain when it comes to the gender makeup of storm chasers in this world.
Yeah, it's definitely a high number of men that's in this field. There is some wonderful women, but we're in smaller numbers. I think a lot of it has to do with women are generally taking care of the kids and doing the stuff at home, not out chasing storms, I guess.
I don't know, but I mean, I'm not sure you'd be a trailblazer, but certainly unique in the storm chasing business.
Yes.
Speaking of that, of course, you're out there on social media. I notice you have a good following on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, and you're on TikTok as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so what's been the reaction from people who do follow you?
Actually, my fans are super supportive of what I do. I'm kind of this bubbly, energetic, positive person. So we have a lot of good laughs. often while I'm out chasing, we go live, so everybody can chat with me live while we're on these storms. I can tell them what's going on, and they can see when I, slip and fall out of the truck because my shoes are covered in mud. And
Well, it's a slow day today because the weather is almost perfect out there. But when the next storm comes, we'll be watching for you, of course. Jenny, stay safe out there, and it's so nice of you to share your story with us.
thank you so much. Have a great day.
Have a great summer. Bye-bye.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
This is In Real Time. I'm Costa Maragos. Thanks for being with us today. Regina's Lulu Lodge is a safe space for LGBTQ youth. The home is a place for these youth when they have nowhere else to go. Lulu's Lodge needs community help, though, and the people in charge have started a capital campaign to not only keep the program and the home going, but keep it open as well. Tana Young is with the John Howard Society of Saskatchewan. Hi, Tana.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well, and it's so good of you to join us here today. I'd like to ask you about the capital campaign right off the start here. How's it been going?
Really well, actually. We've had a lot of support with it, which is fantastic. We've always had a lot of community support, but we've never actually done a formal ask of anything. And so once we launched it, people really got on board. It's wonderful.
And what's the reason you think for this community support that you're seeing so far for Lulu's Lodge in Regina?
We've been open since 2018, and I think we've just built a foundation with the community, and we become part of the community. It's a vital resource, and so I think especially the LGBTQ community really rallies around us when it comes to fundraising.
So tell me, what is the importance of having a home such as Lulu's Lodge established in the city?
It's really important. We just opened this up because we saw a need within youth in our own programs within John Howard Society. And since being open, we've really noticed and seen why it's so important. Traditional group homes and shelter systems aren't inclusive and often unsafe for LGBTQ people, specifically our trans youth. And so by opening Lulu's, that gives them a safe space to grow and to essentially connect to the community, because for a lot of them, they don't have any community supports. And so often we are that connection for them.
You say that some of these other homes are sometimes not a safe place for these youth. What do you mean by that?
Well, staff might not have the proper language or the proper education around LGBTQ people and their needs. So things like misgendering people, those types of things, even though staff might not have any malintent, it's harmful for trans and non-binary people to be misgendered. So just things like that. So, the staff aren't educated properly. Other youth or people in the shelter systems, those types of things, homophobia and transphobia, they're everywhere. So oftentimes it isn't safe.
Oh, because of that. What examples or stories have you heard about that?
In the shelter systems?
Yes.
Or just in general? Yeah.
In the shelter systems, yes.
Yeah, because we have men's shelter systems and we have women's shelter systems. And so for a trans person who identifies as a man, it might not be safe in there for them, those types of things. So you really have to be in the binary. You either have to be a man or you have to be a woman. And that's just how they see it. And so for a lot of people, especially for non-binary people, they just don't fit into that. and our group homes as well too. They've always been boys and they've always been girls, those types of things. So we now within John Howard Society, we take trans youth as well too.
So what's it been like in that home for LGBTQ youth since Lulu's Lodge has been opening? I guess the question is, what difference has it made?
So for a lot of LGBTQ youth, they struggle with mental health, gender dysphoria. There's multiple trips to the emergency, those types of things. Once moved into Lulu's Lodge, that subsided quite a bit. Not that it went away totally, but it definitely got less. So it's so important for people to feel like they're a part of a community, especially too because most of the youth that have come through Lulu's Lodge are there because of family rejection. So for young people to feel that and not feel accepted is really harmful. And so when they get to a place where they can feel that they can be themselves and they're loved and they're safe, that really allows them to flourish and become, the person that they want to be. And ultimately we help them move towards independence, and they're connected with us until they, move out on their own, and we will support them through that whole transition.
That's terrific to hear. And, people receiving the support they need from the community. What's the demand for these services, Tana?
We've pretty much been full the entire time since opening. We have housed 19 youth since opening in 2018. The occupancy rate is around 90%. We have had wait lists before. COVID has kind of changed that a little bit. But it's high. It's really high. 1 in 3 homeless youth in Canada identify as LGBTQ. So those numbers are staggering, actually.
Well, it's great that Lulu's Lodge is there, that it's helping in its own way in the community, and thanks to your efforts and all involved. So Tana Young, thank you so much for telling us about this.
Thank you for having me.
All the best.
Take care.
I want to put together a fundraiser for my community. How do I start? Where do I find speakers and some type of direction?
You need to contact the people at EMJ Marketing. Joe and Laura are the best.
EMJ, huh? Do they?
They do have a lot of experience with all kinds of events. Their team will work with you every step of the way.
Who do they work with?
EMJ represents so many great keynote speakers to entertain and focus on a wide range of topics. Here's just a few: Rod Peterson, Jim Hobson, Amber Bulkin.
Wow. Sounds like EMJ really know what they're doing.
Contact bookings at emjmarketing.com or visit emjmarketing.com.
Thanks. EMJ Marketing is just what I need.
Need help with fundraisers, special events, business keynotes, and more? Contact EMJ Marketing. We provide the right people for your event.
This is In Real Time. I'm Costa Maragos. Now to our next guest, a guest that I've known for a number of years. His name is Dale Eisler. Remember him? He's an author, former political columnist with the Regina Leader-Post and the Saskatchewan Star-Phoenix. That goes back to the Roy Romano years. He was Canada's Consul General in Denver. And these days, he's the government liaison over at the University of Regina. But he is an author. And in fact I am old enough to remember a very young Dale Eisler as a sports writer for the Regina Leader-Post, so we go back a ways. But adding to Dale's resume, screenplay writer. He is the author of a very successful book called Anton. It's set in the Bolshevik Revolution, and it's not just the book, but the book has been made into a movie called Anton. That's not the news. The latest news is Anton is now one of the movies being presented at Amazon Prime. Dale Eisler joins us from Regina. Hi, Dale.
Hi, Costa. Good to be with you.
It's good to see you again. Before we talk about the book and the movie, let's take a brief look here at a little clip from the movie called Anton.
Он уже твой. Бери, теперь ты мой брат. Замочите еврея, только вывезите в лес подальше.
Саш, а почему евреев не любят?
Время для эмоций. Время крушить и строить.
А время любить. А есть ли у немцев отдельный рай? Что получается, когда я умру? Я никогда не увижу тебя. Зачем мне такой рай?
Это дурацкий рай, если там нету друзей.
So there's the scene from Anton, right now streaming on Amazon Prime. The person who wrote the book and helped with the screenplay is Dale Eisler. Dale, what goes through your mind when you see your book made into a movie now on Amazon Prime?
Well, yeah, I have to admit it's a lot of satisfaction to actually see the movie now out there and for others to others to see. And you know, Costa, I thought, you know, when I wrote the book and I got the idea that, you know, this would be potentially a good movie, and yeah, I sort of imagined what the movie might look like. And I must say that it came out better than what I imagined it might in terms of the visual sort of nature of the movie and the quality of it and whatnot. So I'm really quite proud of it, and it's due to the credit goes to the director and the cinematographer. The director was Zaza Urshadze, who actually died tragically when from a heart attack when the movie was in its final post-production stages. And the cinematographer is a fellow named Mikhail Petrenko, who's just truly brilliant. So they did wonderful work.
Well, the director, who with this untimely death, was nominated for Academy Award, a Golden Globe Award, so he's certainly recognized by his peers. And watching the movie, Dale, on Amazon, I mean, the cinematography is just amazing. What impressed you the most about the way this comes across on the screen?
Well, I think it is the sort of the visual appeal of the movie. It's done in a way, and I believe this is very much Zaza, the director, and also Mikhail, the cinematographer. They have, I believe, a great deal of respect for the audience, and they don't engage in any kind of cinematic tricks or ploys or special effects to any great degree. They try to sort of capture the sense of the film visually and emotionally in terms of how it's presented to the viewer. So, you know, I think that's really to my mind, at least, others might disagree, but to my mind, that's the great strength of the movie.
When you had the book and it was out there for a few years, what made you think that this could be, because you started writing the screenplay first on your own, what made you think that could be a movie?
Well, when the book came out, I was living in Denver at the time, and a lot of people, or a number of people at least, who had read the book at that time said, you know, this would be a great movie. And I remember thinking, yeah, I agree. I think it could be a great movie, but I didn't do anything with that for a few years. And then I decided, well, I am going to, you know, attempt to write a script from this, adapt the book into a script, which I did. And then just through good fortune and someone I knew in Los Angeles was able to get connected with a producer who's originally from Tbilisi, Georgia, and now lives in Los Angeles. And he was very much taken by the script and wanted to do something with it. And then the next step was to get Zaza, the director, involved. And by coincidence, he was coming to Los Angeles for the Academy Awards back in 2015, I believe it was. And he was given the script, and he very much liked it and wanted to do it. And then it just kind of progressed from there.
And where was this shot, so people at home will know? Where was this filmed?
It was filmed in Ukraine. Just north of Odessa, off the Black Sea, so it's the location. Like the story is, it's inspired by a true story. It relates to my mother's family, and so it was shot on location, not in the exact same village where my mother grew up as a very young girl before they came to Canada, but in that very region where there were many of these similar people, in fact, German people who had migrated to Russia many years earlier under Catherine the Great, actually, to settle the farmland. And so it's set in one of those villages in Ukraine.
And you went on site, you visited the set. What was that like for you?
Well, it was tremendous. I mean, it's amazing how similar the topography in the land of Ukraine in that region near the Black Sea is like Saskatchewan. As you're flying into Odessa, you think you're flying into Regina. In fact, it's that kind of geography, and a big farming area. So yeah, I spent about a week during the filming. I mean, the actual film shooting went on for about 7 weeks. I was just there for a week. And it was, really great to watch Zaza do his thing as the director, and Mikhail Petrenko as well, and all the other members of the cast and crew at the time to sort of witness the production of the movie. It was very rewarding for me personally, obviously.
I can only imagine that, Dale. I want to fast forward just a little bit. The movie shot. It's set to be released, and then something called the pandemic hits. What happened all there with, and how that affected the release of the movie?
Yeah, the first setback came actually in late 1919 when they were in final post-production, color correction, those sorts of things at the time, when Zaza, the director, just dies tragically of a heart attack unexpectedly. He's only 54 years old and was in apparently good health, but so that really kind of put a damper on things for a while. And then it was going to be released in March of 2020. I think the date was March 20th, if I recall correctly. And of course, COVID hit and the pandemic, and everything got shut down in early March. This was going to be in the U.S. It was going to be, released on a small scale theatrically in Los Angeles. But that all got put on hold, and it has been for, the past year. So we've been able to finally now at least get it out on Amazon Prime. And, this is it's shot in German and Russian with English subtitles. So by its nature, this is a movie that doesn't have a broad market in that sense because it's subtitled. So it would be more of kind of an art house theater movie that would play in sort of select theaters if it comes to that.
Hey, well, in the old days when you were a young sports writer, that's all it would have been in select theaters, probably, as you say. But this is a different time, Dale. It's called streaming services. Amazon Prime sees something in this movie that's special. I certainly did when I saw it. And Dale, congratulations on the success of this. It's a terrific accomplishment. And I encourage everyone to watch Anton on Amazon Prime. Dale, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Costa. I appreciate it very much.
And that's our show for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, next week on the show, how do Canadians feel about the way the government's handling the pandemic? Some unique insights from a national survey. That and many more great guests coming next week on In Real Time. What really intrigued me, though, is that in Saskatchewan, the Prairie provinces, there seems to be, according to the survey here put out, and it's a fairly substantial number of people who are actually approve of a greater government role, larger government as far as handling the pandemic than a smaller one. And yet these are coming from conservative area part of the province. So that doesn't seem to jive for what we're seeing nationally.
That's one of the very interesting finding of this survey is people in Alberta and Saskatchewan are generally have a more favorable kind of positive view of how the federal government in particular when for the federal government's handling of the pandemic. So like what you said, those are very conservative voter base, right, in Alberta and Saskatchewan. I think this is a very interesting finding, probably because they are comparing between different levels of government's response. Or maybe just they start with a kind of a lower starting point, right? Before the pandemic, they have a very low rating of federal government.